Welcome to the Ghana Indian Kofi Annan Center of Excellence in ICT. And I'm Ernestine Adote. We are here again for our monthly tech webinar series. And today our topic is basic principles in Microsoft Excel. When we come to Kofi Annan ICT Center, it's an organization where we do ICT, capacity building, research and innovation, consultancy and advisory services. And we have a whole lot of courses we do. We have CSD, which is Certificate in Software Development. We have CCNA, we have CISA. So you can follow us on all our social media platforms to get yourself updated on the courses and their start dates. So with me today, our topic is basic principles in Microsoft Excel. And today our resource person we have here is Mr. Prince Tawiah, who is a principal systems administrator at the unit. He has over 10 years working experience with different organizations. He's a Microsoft certified professional in information protection and compliance administrator and a security operations analyst associate. So Mr. Prince Albert Tawiah, welcome to the Kofi Annan ICT Center.
Thank you very much, Tina. So like Tina indicated, my name is Prince Albert Tawiah, and yes, I'm into cybersecurity and systems as well. Before we proceed to our conversation today, just have some few ground rules to go by. It's an hour schedule. I'll do a short presentation for about 30 minutes. Then I'll give you a lot of time for conversations and questions. And as much as possible, let's be cautious of the kind of words we use when we are asking questions. This is a very decent and intellectual conversation. You can always raise your hands, and I'm sure Tina will monitor and prompt, and you'll be called. Once you are called, please do what to unmute your mic and you talk. But if you are not on the floor, just mute your mic. If you are join with your name, so that at least if you are calling, we can easily make mention of your name. The key is to ensure that we have that freedom to learn, that we create that space. At the end of the day, it will be worth joining this section. For the purposes of the section today, we want to look at a brief introduction to Microsoft Excel, the history behind Excel, a brief overview of how big, how monstrous the look of Microsoft Excel. Then we will proceed to how do we enter data in Excel, and then touch base on the basic formulas and functions. I strongly believe that time will permit us to go to that extent. When we talk about Excel, the initial name for Excel when Microsoft was developing it was Odyssey. And before the name Excel was arrived at, there were considerations. Some wanted to say, Mr. Spreadsheet, Master Plan, but finally they landed on Excel, which simply means that extra cells. So when you hear Excel, the key thing is it's giving you extra cells for your work. So, Excel is one of the oldest applications but that Microsoft has developed, and it is still touted as one of the best Microsoft applications and a very old one. And when we talk about computer softwares, we have them in various categories, and Excel falls in a spreadsheet software category. When we say a spreadsheet software or spreadsheet, practically what it means is you've taken a sheet or a book and you've opened it wide. The concept of spreadsheet came from in the early days of organizations where they have this bookkeeping. So if you are going to take the bookkeeping, that's where you are keeping stock of your items and the things that you have. So you roll your lines, and normally one side of the the page is not enough. So they normally rule the lines across the pages. So they open the book wide so that they can get more lines ruled, so that they can take as much details as possible. And this was one key thing when it comes to organizations and how they manage their affairs. So if you take most organizations in the early days of computing, most organizations were not into purchasing computers. So computers were for science research, academics in the universities, and the rest. Businesses were not really into computing in the early days of computing, because the key thing that they needed was a spreadsheet or something that could help them take stock, which by then computing was not offering them until the late 1970s, when the very first computer spreadsheet came up. And that was from Dan Brecklin and Bob Frankston. They came up with the very first spreadsheet software, which they call VisiCalc. Then in 1982, Microsoft came up with the very first spreadsheet of theirs, and they called it Multiplan. And they were trying to come up something new, something out of the ordinary, but unfortunately, it didn't work well. So Multiplan failed miserably in 1982. Around the same time, other organizations were up trying to come up with spreadsheets. So we had Quattro Pro and the rest. But Lotus, a company called Lotus, came up with a spreadsheet called Lotus 123. So that was a spreadsheet, and that was a major, it was good. It's had a lot of functionalities then. So Lotus was a big win and a big player in the 1980s to the early part of 80s, throughout the 80s, even to the early 90s. Lotus was there. Then in 1985, Microsoft went back, did their homework, rebranded Multiplan, and launched it as Microsoft Excel. So the very first version of Microsoft Excel, which was released in 1985, was released for Apple computers. Because by then, because VisiCalc, which was the very first spreadsheet, was released for Mac computers, because that was the dominant computing day during those days. So it was released for Mac computers. So in order for Excel to get to the market, the very first Excel was released for Mac computers. Then the subsequent Excel 2 was released for Windows environment, and that is where the politics came in, buying Mac, buying Windows, because the key thing that most organizations were looking for was a spreadsheet, and Excel came up 95, very solid. So people were buying Mac computers. So in 87, when the second one was coming, they did it for Windows environment. Then people started buying Windows. So from then, every couple of years, normally 2, 3, maximum 5 years, a new version of Excel comes out. Later on, it was put in a package, which is the Microsoft Office suite with the Word, the PowerPoint, and all of those things together. And the most recent one of the version is the 2019. They've been 20, 21, 22, but basically they are all concentrating on developing on a cloud version. So along the line, past 2010 coming, there was this cloud version called the Office 365, then Microsoft 365, the Office Pro Plus, which all contains the Excel and all of that. One of the key things you need to know is if you are using Excel, then you need to know the version of Excel you are using. Because periodically, once there's a new release, it comes with some differences, and therefore it is important to know which Excel you are using, whether you are using the perpetual installation, which is from Excel 1 up to Excel 2019, or the cloud version, which is the M365 or the O365, or any of them in that matter. So that's a brief history about Excel. But when we talk about spreadsheets, basically, as I indicated earlier on, we spread the sheet because they want more lines ruled. So when you get a spreadsheet, what you normally get is a lot of lines, boxes. So you have the columns as the vertical ones, and you have the rows as the horizontal. So this ones is the columns. So the first one will be column 1. The second one will be column 2, column 3, in that manner. Then we have the rows. So it follows in this manner. Just a minute. So this is column 1, this will be column 2, and this in that manner. Then have the rows. When the columns and the rows meet, then you get a cell. So you realize that this is a column, this is a row. So the intersection getting the 4 boxes is a cell. So you have the cells, and that's basically what spreadsheet is all about. So anytime you're working with a spreadsheet, you have a lot of cells to play with. So for most of us, when we open Excel, it is not like we've opened Word, which we are very familiar with. So the question is, what are you doing with all these boxes? And it becomes a bit complicated. So most of you are scared of Excel or a spreadsheet because you don't see the plain sheet as you see in Word, but you see these boxes and all of those things. That's basically what spreadsheets are for. So if you come home to take Excel, for example, Excel have a little over 1 million rows. So Excel have 1,048,576 rows and 16,384 columns. So let's go back to our spreadsheet here. So if you look at Excel, you realize that these columns that we are talking about here, 1, 2, 3, this is column 1, 2, 3. Excel have the columns are over 16,000. Then when you are talking about the rows, it's over 1 million. This gives Excel 17,179,869,184 cells, the intersections. So if you open Excel, I'm sure most of you that have opened Excel, those who have never opened, I just encourage you to open Excel. It's one of the best softwares you can get. That's how many cells you get in one Excel sheet. Now, when you open Excel, these boxes that you see, you get them in sheets. So normally when you open, you see sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3 down there, depending on the version of Excel that you are using. Now, this sheet, you can have as many as you want, but advisedly, it has from 1 to 255. So if you open Excel, you can have as many sheets there. And you bear with me that when you put sheets together, you get a book. So a file in Excel is called a workbook. And it's called a workbook because it contains sheets. And the sheet is made up of rows and columns, which gives us the cells. Now there's another question we normally ask ourselves. So if I want to type a letter, these boxes, how many characters can a single box take? A single cell in Excel can take 32,767 characters. What this simply means is that if you decide that you are picking one Excel sheet in Excel and you are filling each of the cells with a character and you decide to print it on A4 sheets, you get a pile of A4 sheets taller than the tallest building you can think of in this world. That is how monstrous Excel is. Excel is that monstrous, that huge. Now, the Excel sheets names, you can always change it from sheet 1 to any name of your choice. But there are certain keywords you cannot use to name your sheets, like history. You can't name a sheet history. You can just say history 1 or something, because these are keywords. And there are also certain characters you cannot use in naming your sheet. the square bracket and all of that. You cannot use them in naming your sheets. And the sheet's name can take up to 31 characters to name it. What does an Excel sheet take? An Excel sheet can take the Excel workbook, can take the sheets, can take the charts. If you plot your graphs in there, can take your macros, then you can take your VBA, Visual Basic for Applications, sort of a programming in Excel as well. So with this description, let's get to meet Excel. So when you open Excel, you see a screen like this. And with the assumption that we can all open Excel, you click on, depending on the operating system you are using, you click on Start. That's for the Windows bias people. Yes, or you can see them on your taskbar or on your desktop. You double click on Application, the icon, you get it. So once you open Excel, you have an interface like this. And these are the square boxes that I made mention of. So you have the A, B, C, D being the column headings, and you have the 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 1,048,000 plus there. So this A, B, C, D goes up to Z, A, B, all the way. And if you count them, that's about 16,000 of them. Now, the latest version of Office applications have what you call ribbons. The top here, it's called ribbons. So you have the ribbon tab names, which is the home, the inserts, the page layout, the formulas, data. These are ribbon tabs. So the functionalities in Excel or in Office is built on tabs. So we have the functions are in the tabs. And when it comes to each of the tabs, the activities or the tasks are into groups. So for example, we are in the home tab, and you have what the clipboard group, the font group, the alignment group, the number group, the styles group, the cells group, and the editing group. So if you come to a clipboard group, which means every task or activity or exercise that is related to clipboard, all of them are into one group. When it comes to the look and feel, the font size, all of them are in here. If you want to undertake a function of inserting anything, you go to what? The tab Inserts. If you want to do any function that is related with the page layout and all of them, you go to the page layout box. If you want to undertake anything in relation to formulas, you click on the formulas. If you want to do any function related with data, want to do data validation, all of that, you go to, you click on the data tab. So that's how the functions are being placed there. So you have the columns, we have the beyond the ribbons or just below the ribbons, depending on the setup, you have the name box. This is a very important feature in Excel. And we also have the formula bar, another important thing in Excel. So if you want to be very comfortable with Excel, there are some key aspects of Excel that you need to take note of. And one of them is the name box. The next is the formula bar. And most importantly, each of the cells have a name, and you need to know the cell names. The name of the cell is the column which is making the cell and the row. So if you take this column, this is column H. So this is column H, and this is row 7. So this intersection cell here is the cell name is called H7, the column name and the row. If you can get these few fundamentals of Excel, Excel will be your friend. And I repeat them again. Know your name box, which is this one. Know your formula bar. So the name box will always tell you which cell you are. Because out of the 70 billion cells, at times you get lost. Where is my active cell or where is my cursor, if you want to put it that way? And you can count on the name box to let you know where you are. The formula bar will always show you the truth of the content of the cell. So whatever you have typed in that cell, if you want to know the truth, the formula bar will show you. And you also need to be familiar with every single cell names. I hope that's okay. If you have any question, I will end my slides very soon so that I can take questions. Now, with this said and done, the question is, how do I start Excel? Once you start Excel, it's just like we're embarking on a journey. Most importantly, you need to know where you are going. So if you want to start Excel is not like Word. You go there and just start typing anything and you are good to go. Most importantly, you need to know why you are starting Excel. What's the purpose of it? Then after knowing the purpose, what kind of information do I need or do I need to include in my sheets? What headings? How am I going to position my headings? Am I going to use the columns as the headings? Am I going to use the rows as the headings? You need to have that structure in mind before you open Excel. Otherwise, you open Excel and you'll be found wanting. You need to know why you are going to Excel, what you are going to do there. Now, once you are clear with what you are going to do in Excel, the next thing is this box is how do I enter data in Excel? Entering data in Excel is as simple as putting a giraffe in a freezer. The question is, how do you put a giraffe in a freezer? For when this question is asked, 95 to 97% of adults will get it wrong. But for a child, how do you put a giraffe in a freezer? Pick the giraffe and put it in a freezer. How do I enter data in Excel? Just select which cell that you want to enter your data, type your data in there, and press the enter. Because Excel accepts different types of data. Your data can be a value, Excel will take it. It could be a text, Excel will take it. It could be a Boolean value, that is yes or no, Excel will take it. It could even be a formula, Excel will take it. But the only way to differentiate between what you are typing and a formula in Excel is you start your formulas with an equal sign. So once you press or you tap the equal sign, everything you are doing, Excel interprets it as a formula. How do I, after entering the data, what do I do? After entering the data, you can either press any of the arrow keys, it will move to the next cell or select which of the cells that you want, or you can even press enter, it will come down, or you can press the tab. Any of them will move your cursor to the next one. But if you've typed something and you don't want what you have typed again, then you can press escape to erase what you have typed. But if you have typed it in a cell, you have pressed enter or you have left the cell and you want to erase what you have typed there, then you have to go back and select on that cell and either press backspace or press the backspace or the delete. It will clear it for you. And I believe we all know that Excel is also very good at formulas. So if you are going to work with formulas, then you have to work with operators. So you have the plus sign you use for your addition, the minus, your hyphen for your subtraction, the slash for your division, asterisk for multiplication, the percentage sign for your percentage. You have your ampersand for adding text together. So you use the plus to add numbers, then ampersand to add text together, the exponential to raise to the power, the logical if. I've seen some few hands raised. Give me some few minutes. I'll wrap up and I'll get your questions, please. Then you have the greater than, the less than, the greater or equals to, the less or equals to, and not equals to as well. How does Excel does its computations? So Excel have what you call formulas and functions. Once you start with an equal sign, everything you're going to type is a formula. But of course, Excel have inbuilt function, and Excel 365 have 526 inbuilt functions. The functions, for example, we know addition, plus, plus, plus. In mathematics at school, we also were told that you can use sum, means plus. So sum in Excel is a function. So you can decide to use the plus sign or decide to use the function. So if you are going to type a formula, an Excel formula can take up to 8,000 characters. So if your formula is bigger and it's going to take more than 8,000, it's going to contain more than 8,000 characters, then you need to use VBA, the Visual Basic. Excel 2016, which I bought the slides on, contains 450 functions inbuilt in them. So you can decide to use the functions or you can decide to just do your formula straight away and they are all good. Now, with all these operators, how does Excel work? Excel works just as we are taught at school using BODMAS. So we have the bracket of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Of course, there is an exponential sign. So Excel use the BEDMAS or the PEDMAS. Simply means that either you decide to call it the parenthesis or the bracket, depending on which of the cousins you support, the US people or the UK people. So if you call it bracket, then it's BEDMAS. If you call it the parenthesis, then it's PEDMAS. So Excel understands formulas in this manner. So you have the brackets, the exponents, the division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. This is how Excel understands the operators. So let me quickly do some 5-minute demonstration before I'll take the questions. So let me. So I'm opening Excel and this is Microsoft 365. So you see it here. Good. So I'll open Excel and the first thing I'll do is I'll go to a blank workbook. Great. So this is Excel and these are the column names I was talking about, A, B, C, D. And this is the row 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is the name box. I did indicate that it will show you the cell in which you are. So this is what cell A1, which means column A, row 1. If I click here now, you see what? X28, which means column X, row 28. If I come back here, you see it there. Now, what we are going to do is I am going to move the cell, the cursor, to the last column in Excel. So I'll do that by pressing the End key and the right arrow key. The End key on the keyboard and the right arrow. So this takes me to column XFD. That is the last column in Excel. And if you do the permutations, the alphabet is 26. If you perm, you realize that it's about 6. What's the number of columns? 16,000 plus. I'll press the End key again, and I'll press the down key arrow, and it has taken me to the last row. And so this is the last cell in Excel. And that is the cell name, column XFD 1048567. That is the last cell in Excel. And I did indicate that it's about 17 billion cells. So that's for the cells. These are the sheets. So you have sheet 1. You can always add more sheets to it. And I say you can add up to 255. So this, and each sheet will give you 17 billion cells. And I also indicate that each cell in Excel can take up to 32,000 characters. Most of us think that you just have to type up to here, but you can type as you, it will just accommodate it. All of this is in one cell, so I can increase the column width for the cell. So the cells are huge. You can equally bring it down to. This is cell A1, and it is that big. So up here, you have the home tab, you have the insert. So if you go to home, just as you saw, you have the clipboard, the fonts, we have the alignment. If we have time, I would have explained what each button here means and what you can use them for, especially with the clipboard. So those of you who do a lot of copy and paste, the clipboard is very awesome for you because it can help you to paste things that you've copied. You don't normally, by standard copying and paste, you can only paste the last item you copied. But if you're using a clipboard, you can copy and paste 23 different items and decide as and when you want to paste them. So this is the insert where you can insert tables, pivot tables, shapes, charts, and all of them in here. This is drawing. You may not have it or not. This is the page layout where you want to do your margins, your orientation, your print area. Excel is big, so you can't always print the whole Excel. So you can select the area in which you want to print there. This is your formulas. So this all the formulas there is in Excel. These are financial formulas. They are all here. Logical formulas, text formulas, date and time formulas, or functions. These are functions. Look up and reference functions, mathematics and trigonometry. You have your statistical functions, engineer. So all of them are in here. We are talking about data. If you want to do your data validation, your new data types, all of them are in here. You have your review, and these are the tabs in Excel. Each of the tabs have their group names in there for you to do. I believe that's enough. Let me take some questions. If there is time, I'll come and show you some few things on the tabs and in Excel as well. So, Tina, if you are there, I believe you can start taking the questions. I've seen a lot of hands coming up. You can start taking the questions, and if there's time, we'll do some more demonstration. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me, Prince?
Yes, I can hear
you. I was hoping that you will finish, and then when you are done, we'll take the questions so that it doesn't interrupt the flow.
Yes, but the demo is left with the demonstration, and it's not ending. And I mean, we don't have much time, so probably some of the questions will direct me to a specific place they want. Then I can go there to do that. I'll finish with the slides. What is left is demonstration, so we can take the questions.
So please go ahead and do the demonstration so that when we are done, then we take the questions and then we know that we are wrapping up. Else, the questions, I know I'm talking about that, there are so many questions in the chat dialogue that if we decide to go and address, we might go. So let's finish with your presentations and everything, and then we can go ahead and then we'll take all the questions.
Okay, thank you too. So let me do, so I did indicate that Excel takes formulas. So if I come here and I just say 5 plus 9, Excel, and I press enter, Excel will still give me 5 plus 9. If I say y plus 8, Excel will display the y plus 8 for me. In order to differentiate or prompt Excel that what you are going to type is a formula, you start with the equal sign. So once I start with the equal sign, anything I type, Excel will attempt to evaluate it for me. So if I press enter, Excel is giving me this figure. But once I select that again, in the formula bar, I'm not seeing 117. This is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I'm not seeing 1,796,000. But the formula bar is telling me what is actually giving me that figure that I'm seeing there. And the name box is telling me which cell I am on now. That's what I mean by there are some few things you need to get very comfortable with in Excel, and it will help your course. So if I come here and I have, let's do a very simple thing. So we have what? Item, you have unit price, we have quantity. So let's get some few items. Forgive me, I'm a fancy, so Milo will come in there. I'll have Mock in there. I'll have pen in there. I'll have pencil in there. Let's say the unit price is this. This is quantities. We are buying 4 of this. We are buying 8 of this. We are buying 2 of this. And we are buying 3 of this. Now, how do I get my costs? To get the cost, it's simple. You multiply what's the unit price by the quantity. Now in Excel, just as in primary school, when we're doing those box mathematics, they draw one box, another box, and they put figures in there that add the content of the boxes. So over here, instead of saying this is equals to 45 multiplied by 4, which is very specific and direct to Excel. So now when I press enter, it will give me the answer all right. But if this unit price changes, this value will not change because I specifically told Excel that multiply 45 by 4. But instead of using the content, if I use the cell names, so over here, I'll say this is equals to, this is cell J3. So equals to J3 multiplied by cell H3. Excel will mark the cells for you just for you to verify to make sure that you've done the correct one. Now, once I press enter, is there. If this, for example, quantity changes, once you press enter, Excel automatically calculates it for you. And once you've done for one, you can easily copy the formula. So if I come here and I decide that, okay, let me copy this, and I come here and I say I am pasting it. You see that it did not paste 4940 there. It pastes 184, which is the calculation for this one. So this is what, if you go back, this is what 23 multiplied by this. But if I've used the specific values to enter or do the computation, it means that this wouldn't have worked for me. So when I come here and I click on this 184, in the formula bar, I don't see 184, but it's telling me that whatever is in cell J4 multiply by whatever in cell H4. So if what is in, let's say H4 changes, then the value also changes automatically. You could equally use, you see, anytime a cell is selected, you have this small box here. That actually started in Excel 4 and it was called Excel Intelligent. Over the years, it keeps changing its name. Now they call it the autofill handle. So I can just come here. So when you send a pointer, it is the crosshair until it comes here and it becomes a single crosshair without the arrow. I can use this one to drag it down and it will still do my calculations for me. This is the power and flexibility in Excel, giving you the ease and the flexibility to do your work. So for example, if I have made the input for, let's say, 100,000 entries, I don't need to calculate them one by one. I just need to do one and it will just run the rest through for me. I hope that's okay. So instead of doing this calculation, I could equally use the function. So if I want to get the total cost here, I need to say, I will say, well, this is equals to this one plus, I'll click on them to select them, plus this one, plus, there's another one here. But because of where I've selected, I'm not able to get it. But if you know your cell names, you realize that this is what? I3, I4, I5. So obviously the other one will be what? I6. Now once I press enter, I get my computation. Instead of doing the plus, I could have equally said this is equals to, and what is the function for plus? Sum. So I'll say sum, I'll open the brackets, then I'll say sum from I3, so I3 column I6, and I'll close it. So see that Excel has highlighted all of them for you. There are other ways you can do this. You can drag on them and all of those things. But it is important to know your cell names. If you don't know your cell names and you're working with Excel, you always have issues. So once I press on enter, these two figures are the same. This one, I use the plus sign, and this one, I use a function, but the figures are the same, so it should get me the same thing. I hope that's okay. I'm sure I'll end my demonstration here so that I can pick some few questions. So Tina, if you are there, thank you so much. Let's pick the questions now.
So I think the questions we have here are people asking of getting your presentations and things, but we have also told them that this entire session is being recorded and will be uploaded on all our social media pages, especially YouTube, so they can go back and play back this video. So whatever they missed, they can go back and refer to it. But please, if you have questions, you can just either raise your hand, we'll unmute you, or you can type your question in the chat box and then we will read it out. Thank you. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand, we'll unmute you, and then we'll let you ask a question, or you can type it in the chat box and we'll read it out.
There was one call who was saying go over something. So one is asking about the printing functions. Okay. So let me just go over, do a big demo on the printing. So I have these sheets. Let's assume all that I need to print is only this side, not the whole thing. But right now, if I go to File and I say Print, you see the whole thing in there. The course, this is Microsoft Excel, everything is in there. But I need to submit a report which contains only this part. All that my boss wants is the item, the unit price, and the quantity. That's all that my boss wants. So I can select that aspect of it. And then I can go to page layout. And the page layout, you have a group called page setup. There's an icon there called print area. So once I click on this, I say what set a print area, which means that I've highlighted a place and I am instructing Excel that it should set only that place as a print area. So once I click on this, now if I go to file and I say print, that is the only part that I'll see. All the other parts of this is Excel, all those ones. So if you go to the main sheet now, you see there are other things and none of them will show up for printing. I don't know whether that does for the question from this Qual on the prints. No, Muhammad Abdul on the prints. Please go over the printing function I just did. Please about the function, go over again. So Excel have a lot of functions. So when you click on the formula bar here, you have all the functions there. So for example, my CACE is here. So I come to the functions. I want to use a function called sum or average. These are the recent ones for the auto sum. If you come to financial, all of them are here. So you need to know which one you want to. Normally, get people asking you, though, I want to know all the functions in Excel. You don't need all the functions in Excel because some of them are, for example, if you come here, some of these are engineering, statistical. So you don't need all of them. What you need in Excel is what can let you get your work done and done safely. So I come to mathematics and trigonometry, then I'll say what? I want sum. So automatically brings here and asks, what numbers do I want to add? I can decide to click on this, come and drag the whole thing here, and I'll just say, okay, it is giving me the same figure. And if I make changes to any of these values here, it will reflect on all of them because I made references to the cell name in the formula and not specific values within the cell. I believe that's okay. Can we get a tutorial or PDF of it? I'm sure they will share the slides with you. Okay. Yes, I'm glad Bampo said now he or she will be using Excel. Bampo, thank you so much. Excel is awesome. Can I get some formulas at least? Can we get some formula at least above 10? It's not very clear. My question is how best Excel is used for data visualization. So Excel is awesome for data visualization. And one of the tools for data visualization in Excel is pivot tables. It's awesome. And you can create your own dashboard once you have your data and all of those things. But this is just, the time is short, just introductory. But I'm sure when you contact the training center, they have extensive training on all of these things, and you can easily get all of these things done. How can Excel be used for data visualization as a data analyst? If you're a data analyst, get to know Excel, get to know Power BI or R, and it will be awesome for you. A repeat of what I just did. Can it be specific on what I just did? Imagine that I asked you to deduce some specific information. Yes, it depends on the type of information you want me to deduce. I can easily, once you have your data in Excel, we can get it done for you. All that Excel wants is your data should be there. Once the data is there, Excel will dig it up for you. Is there any certificate available after this meeting? I doubt for this 1 hour whether you will get a certificate, but they can answer. But we have extensive training at the center. Please come there for the extensive training. After that, you can get a certificate which you can hold your head up high that you have the full expertise in any of these fields for the training. Any other question, Tina?
Someone is asking if there is any certificate available after this meeting. My colleague Tina will handle that when he is when we are done with this. And someone is asking, please, can you go over the auto sum? So, Prince, please, there's a question that goes to you. Please, can you go over the auto sum? Let me take the next question as well. Please, where is the venue for the training? We are doing this at the Kofi Annan ICT Center, next to Council of State, around Ridge. Please, you can walk in anytime and have all your questions answered.
So someone is saying, answer the last question too. Answer the last question. Whether the training is affordable.
So whether the training is affordable, of course, we are a government institution, so our rates are very, very, affordable compared to the market rates. So you don't have to worry at all. And someone is saying that our question so my question wasn't answered. Ezra, I don't know what your question is. Please retype your question. Someone is asking, can we have a session for Excel for data analytics? So my colleague will will answer all of this, and then we'll know what to do.
Okay, so there are two questions I need to do on the summation, and someone is asking a question about graphs in Excel. So the summation, I did not use AutoSum, but of course you can use AutoSum. AutoSum is the easiest one. But I use the normal sum, which is the appropriate one to use, because the AutoSum comes with limitations. When your values are not homogeneous or are not continuous, the AutoSum will not work once there's breaks in your data. Secondly, the AutoSum will give you the answer next to your data. But for example, if I am here and I need to get the sum of all of this, I can't use AutoSum, so I can just use the sum to get the same thing. And to do that, you can either type straight, I can come to formulas, math and trigonometry, click on sum. Then once you click on sum, it will pop up this asking you for what numbers do you want to add. Let's say I want to add all the quantities here. So I just click here, drag it to the end, then I'll say, okay. So it will give you answer here. How do you do graphs in Excel? This figure is too big. Let me just. Graphs in Excel is the easiest thing you can do, you can think of. It's doing charts in Excel is as easy as bolding a text in Word. So this is my data I want to plot in a graph form. So I'll select all my data, come to insert, and I'll select which graph I want, and I'll finish plotting my graph. As easy as bolding a text in Word. I'll repeat it again. I need to plot a graph for this. I will select all my data. I'll click on insert, and I'll come and select which graph I want. The graph is plotted. So I'll hand over to Tina if you're available. Our time is almost up, so that I can wrap up. Thank you so much for attending.
Yeah, so someone is, thank you so much, Mr. Prince Alberteria. Thank you so much for your time. And there's a question coming in here that, what of those in Sunyani? Okay, so we have a center in Sunyani and Bolgatanga. So you can walk in there and tell them you want to take a course in any of our courses we have. So our Sunyani contact is 0201 505489, and our Bolgatanga number is 0201 505 407. And to all our participants, this is just an overview of a course we do here, that's Office Productivity Suite. So you can walk in and register for the course. For 2 months, the tuition is 920 Ghana cedis with registration of 200 cedis. So you can walk in at any time to register for the course. And please, the Sunyani contact again is 0201 505489. And our Bogatanga contact is also 0201 505 407. And please, those asking about how can we use Excel in data analytics? Yes. So we have a course here as well, data analytics with Power BI and data analytics with Python. So you can walk in at any time, register for the course, then you join the class. So data analytics with Power BI is 2,000 cedis with registration of 200 cedis. And we have data analytics with Python, which is also 2,000 cedis with registration of 200 cedis. And the duration for both is 2 months. So you can walk in at any time to register for the courses. So we have our courses, we have CSD, we have CISA, we have data analytics, we have CCNA, we have NIS and cybersecurity. So our CSD, that's the Certificate in Software Development, starts on the 29th of July. So you can all walk in our office, register for the courses, then you start. Please, our tuition fee is 1,650 cedis with registration of 200 cedis. So don't forget to pass by our office at any time so you start our courses. Thank you so much for your time. I'll hand over to my colleague here, Mr. Steve, to do our marketing for us.
Hi guys, how are you all? It's good to have everyone on board. Thank you so much for joining us. As you rightly heard everything from my colleague Ernestina, when you come here, we give you more of an intensive and exclusive learning experience. I mean, this is more of an online experience. We just wanted to give you a teaser. When you come, you see the experience for your own self. You have lecturers who are very down to earth. We move with the whole class. It's not like you're moving with one particular individual. So they will take their time to go through the Excel. We have had so many experiences, people sharing the experience of how some people even said that they wish they had come here before going to university, but this is the kind of experience we give to every individual who passed through our center. So I think I'll just walk you through, because people were asking about the video. Some were also asking about the slides. This is more of an avenue for us to sell our social media platforms to you. So what we normally do is we don't do traditional media. So you'll not hear us going on TV, on radio to say, there's a free course. No, we don't do that. So everything is on social media. So if you go through our chat, you realize that I've posted the links to our various social media platforms. So this video will be posted in there, and then you can just go in there. You click on the bell notification so that immediately I upload a video, you get the notification and then go over. You can share with your colleague and share with your sibling. Maybe you have a sibling who's in the house not knowing his left from his right, who is thinking of, whether I should go in for office productivity or whether I should go in for CSD. We have previous videos or previous webinars that we did. You can go through that particular playlist and play and listen for your own self. So you can go on Facebook at Kofi Annan ICT Center. Okay, so I'll repost. Someone is asking about the links. I'll repost it here. So please, in the next 20 seconds, you'll see the link in the chat box. Yes, I've posted it. So please kindly go there, click on it, and then you can follow, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, like I was saying, please, we have so many free courses we enroll each and every time. For last year, we had a project that we called the Restart Team Initiative. It was to build the human capacity regarding to the workforce in the country. So it was free, but because it was an initial project, we did more of a traditional media. Subsequently, we didn't do it. because the courses were in batches. So we had AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. We had AI, we had Microsoft's AI, we had cybersecurity, we had a whole lot data analytics in Power BI and also data analytics in Python. So please, this is the main reason why we're advising you. And as you can rightly see or hear, you realize that this particular webinar was also posted on our various social media platforms and also on our WhatsApp channel. So we don't do traditional media. So it will be of your own best interest. Maybe your colleague, your friend, your sibling may be in the house not knowing what to do. This is why we encourage you to follow our social media platform. Now I'll run you through 2 or 3 courses that we have. I'm sure my colleague has already spoken about the Office Productivity Suite. I want to introduce to you the certificate in software development. Please, I think someone is asking a question. Nope. Please, any updates for an office in Kumasi? Well, this is coming from Joseph. Joseph, we have had so many of these coming from people, especially even on social media. We are working tirelessly to get an office in there. So for now, management are aware. So I don't want to give any surety or any confirmation. Just stay in there. We will be there very, very, very soon. I mean, Kumasi is my home, so I'll also fight so that we get an office. Yeah, what town? I hope I've answered your question. Please let me get a thumbs up if I've answered your question. Great. So moving on, like I was saying, I wanted to discuss with you the certificate in software development. So this, we have these links again. My network dropped. Okay. All right. Please, I should be ending the next 2 minutes, so I'll post it for the very last time. Kindly go to the chat box and then follow. All right, so like I was saying, I'm using the next 1 minute or 30 seconds to tell you about the software and development course that we ran here. So if you are interested in finding out the fundamentals of computing, HTML, JavaScript, software engineering, database, concepts, and technology, what you need to do is to walk in our center, get yourself registered, and then we can start. I think the next class should start on the 29th of July. So we have ample time to decide to, gather some money. 29th July is also strategic because that's where you'll be paid. So kindly try and save some small coins. Today is what? 25th June. So then July, then you come, then we help you out. So the requisite or the target group or the qualification, we just need people who are SHS graduates or someone who is enthusiastic about IT. Maybe you want to learn more about fundamentals of computing. You have heard about JavaScript, you want to learn more. Kindly call the numbers that were provided. So I'll give you the Accra number. Call now. If you call, you can even mention my name that Steve said I should call. I can try and get you a discount of 1 cedi. You may never know. So you call 0555 or 055 666 0355 055 666 0355. So I'm writing it on the chat box. Call them now. Tell them that Steve said, media, if a discount into me for 1 cedi discount, don't worry. I'll get it for you. So please, any other question? Someone is asking about, do you have an office in the Eastern region? No, please. Our offices are only 3. We have one in Accra, that's our head office. We have one in Bolga, Tanga, and one in the Sunyani. So please, we are working tirelessly to have branches across the country. Same with Koforidua. So please, any idea about the schedule for the lectures? It depends on the particular lecture you'll be asking. I think for the CSD, you'll be meeting from Monday all through to Friday. We have the morning and the afternoon session. So when you opt for the morning, it's 8 to 12. By 8:15, the doors are closed. And then 12, you are done. Then the next batch comes at 1 and they close at 5. So for the OPS, which is the Office Productivity Suite, where you're going to learn about the Excel, we have Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So you can either opt in the morning session, which is the 8, 12, or 1 to 5. Any which ways. You're going to give you a break in between the times. It's not like you're going to be seated for like 4 or 5 hours. You're going to break you so you can take some fresh air. But the whole idea is to provide an extensive IT education for everyone, so that everybody will be abreast with what's really happening and going on in the digital world. I mean, we are all going digital, so Charlie, you have to also go digital. Any other questions? Great, no other questions. Thank you so much, and we hope we're going to see you very soon. Stay tuned for our next webinar. Follow our social media platform. You may never know, the next one will really interest you. Thank you. On behalf of the management, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for taking your time off your busy schedule to join us and to say Akwaba to the new world of IT possibility. God bless you all. Thank you.